Hey folks, this is a little bit different for me, but I wanted to put out this video that is more conversational about how Ravenswatch currently handles your starting talent. There are a lot of different perspectives around this topic, and I discussed some of them in the video. I'm sure there's other things and situations and I guess context that I don't have. This is just kind of me talking as I'm playing through a run, but I think it's an interesting conversation, and it's one that I would like to engage with. So see you in the comments. Let me start over. There's an ongoing conversation in the community about whether or not the developers should make starting talents something that the player can somehow select or control the RNG for. And this is an interesting topic for me because I tend to like to explore certain builds, right? You know, when I kind of get the idea of a character, I want to play a very similar style for a couple of times, and then I'll maybe like start to diversify. But my initial experience is going to be very similar in between runs. Oh shucks. And I think there's a lot of players who are like that, honestly. Now, this means that either we restart a lot or we end up like changing talents. And I think that's hard for new players, to be honest. If you think about how differently Scarlet plays between Shadow Strikes and Distant Explosions, that could be a pretty challenging skill curve. That could be a pretty difficult rearrangement of muscle memory. But RNG is also like an important thing in the game, and I think that some players just genuinely don't like the idea of being able to control that RNG, or they kind of are they're opposed to the idea on principle. I understand where they're coming from, but to me, I think your starting talent, since it has such a tremendous impact on like the dynamic of the game you're going into, I don't really think it's the same as like other talents. Definitely the randomness is important to kind of preserve your experience. But I mean, think about like what I'm doing with Aladdin, you know? Aladdin has a number of starting talents that don't make sense for solo play. They don't give as much value, or you only get part of the effect that it offers. So it kind of naturally doesn't synergize well with the vision of the talents to take it out in solo play. So should I then is that just like okay that every time, I mean, and to be fair, like I'm not saying this is the end of the world. At the end of the day, I'm playing a video game I love, and whether or not I get the perfect role the moment that I want it, I think part of the beauty of the game is that really good roles, really interesting combinations aren't something that you can control, right? You want to keep playing and experiencing the game because you want to see how something works, and you haven't necessarily had that experience yet, and so it's part of the joy of the game is just to keep trying stuff and keep having experiences, and you know, one day to maybe pull off some of the more outlandish, the more RNG heavy possibilities that you've theory crafted. So I've said all this in favor of the idea of high RNG in the game, and I stand by that. I think that that's valid. But I think that there are aspects of the game that can be fun to put more in the player's control earlier on, particularly when you have team play in consideration. If you pick Aladdin for team play abilities, then it's pretty frustrating if you get only the solo play abilities, or the ones the other
I'm at my wit's
solo,
end.
the other
I need to build
abilities
a stone
that are
fortress
less
capable of
team
withstanding
oriented.
the creatures of the night.
And I think that compare this to
I don't have time for this.
compare this to like Risk of Rain 2, right? Another beloved roguelike. It's a great experience for its space. You know, great game. In Risk of Rain 2, characters have different loadouts. Oh, I should have grabbed that stone by the entrance. They have different loadouts. So if you're playing Marine, you can Commando. Excuse me. Look at me. I haven't played Risk of Rain 2 in a minute. If you're playing Commando, you can choose to run grenades, or I think it's like burst fire or something, and that's like something you decide in the menu before the match starts. And I think that's a really good system because it gives you, like, when you're in the menu and you're like, I'm kind of, you know, thinking about what I want to do, right? It gives you a chance to take some ownership and have some direction in terms of the unique experience that you have. Because there's still RNG, right? There's still a lot of RNG. There's all these items that you have so little control over when they show up, or the combinations that they come in, or anything. So I think it preserves the RNG element in general, but it does put some things in player control. Hades also has this in a different way, different system. But yeah, in Hades, think about your keepsakes, right?
Filling my pockets.
And what is it called? The other system, I guess they're both in that same screen, but one of them gives you like a burst of damage, and one of them will like give you talents associated with a specific deity. So you can kind of control the type of run that you're about to have. Does that break the game? Does it make it less fun because it's predictable? There's kind of a balance here. I think that the chaos is really fun, but I think that the chaos with just a little bit of player agency is even better. I think players, especially after they've been playing the game for a little while, they really want to have some ability to dictate terms or to have things go a certain way. It's really interesting and fun to be able to say, I think that this will break the game. If I run this combination, this should just absolutely cook. And then you try it out, and maybe it works, and maybe it doesn't. Spinning strike, probably.
Nothing can stop me now.
And that's another thing about, nice about MOBAs compared to like competitive MMO or something. Like, there's no downside to trying out something suboptimal. You just do it. Just try out something suboptimal, have the experience. Get your card, get your ticket stamped, and that's part of it. You want that experience. You bought into that experience.
The enemy is at our gates. Let us prepare
So I
to fight
think
to the last and save our home.
I think that it's possible then to have a degree of
Just think of what I can do with this.
a degree of like player agency in addition to having the uncertainty or the RNG. Oh shoot, I went to the wrong spot. TPing on autopilot. Let's hope we have enough time to pick up the stone and get to the side quest. So that's where I would weigh in. I think that the starting talent is an example of something that could be put into player agency and make the game even more fun. Because think about again, I'm playing this Aladdin. Aladdin has a lot of very team-oriented abilities. Imagine if I have like a 5 stack, and I don't get the roll that I want, right? And then I'm in a lobby with a bunch of other players, and everyone else is happy, and so I just choose to accept that I didn't get what I wanted. And that's fine, I guess, because, you know, it's an RNG game, right? Well, I think that that's fine. And I think it's probably a healthy sign for a game if, you know, gamers do prioritize the experiences of other players from time to time. But I don't think it should always... I don't think that those things should be competitive all the time, right? Your experience shouldn't have to come to the detriment of someone else's, at least in a game like this. Obviously, again, MMORPG, like competitive multiplayer setting, you know, you're going to break a couple eggs to make your cake. Part of the experience is losing. Well, that was a little bit too visual. Yeah. Part of the experience is losing. But for a game like this, I think we can have our cake and eat it too. You know, we can give people an experience that they have a lot of control over, and in terms of like early setup. But there's still a lot of RNG. There's still a lot of room for exploration, and they can have a lot of fun with it, right? I think that we can have the best of both worlds, and there's no real reason to feel like these are competing. That, you know, we have to. If we start to control the RNG with this little bit of
I go stealthily, like a thief in the
well, that was a miss, but if we start to control RNG a little bit with things like adding in some player agency in the menu before the game starts, all of a sudden the experience is going to be shattered, and the game will lose its specialness. But I do think that is a valid concern, right? I say it flippantly that, you know, that's a kind of like almost dismissively. Let's see, attack strike after dash. See that.
I couldn't have wished for.
I say it a little bit flippantly, like right there, but I don't actually mean to disrespect that opinion, because I do understand where it comes from. If you have too much agency, I don't like command mode, for example, in Risk of Rain 2. You can, like, artifact of command, you can just get the artifact that you want, whatever it is. Because I think that part of the beauty of the game is, you know, it doesn't care about what you want. It's not trying to give you the experience that you desire, right? It's just, you know, it's just going to give you an experience based on whatever items drop. Be careful not to die again because I'm talking. I have a lot of auto attacks that are